Without any objections, is there a motion to recess the regular Board of Commissioners meeting and convene as the Board of Equalization and Review?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, we are now sitting as the Board of Equalization and Review. At this time, the Honorable Caroline White will administer the oath to the board. The meeting is called to order.
Good evening. Honorable Chairman Leonard Wiggins and the Board of Commissioners. Good evening. Good to see everyone. At this time, I ask each of you to stand that you may be sworn. As a board member of the Equalization and Review. If you're going to swear on the Bible, if you'll place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. If you choose to affirm, if you just raise your right hand. When I say I, just tell me your name, and from there, I will continue the oath of office. And then by the hearing of I do or I will. I
Leonard Wiggins,
do solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and maintain the Constitution and the laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as a member of the Board of Equalization and Review of Edgecombe County, North Carolina, and that you will not allow your actions as a member of the Board of Equalization and Review to be influenced by personal or political friendship or obligation. So help me God. Thank you so very much. And if you would sign your oath of office, I'll make sure that I get them back to the office, registered and on file. Thank you so much.
thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, sir.
You see the oath up? Did you see it?
I'm gonna pass it down this way. Miss Debbie's got some, Miss Tammy's got some.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Ms. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to invite Ms. Teresa Lewis, our tax administrator, to come to the podium, and she will lead us from this point forward.
Good evening, Commissioners. How are y'all?
Good evening.
Good. So, in your packet, you have 3 notice letters that the Department of Revenue recommends that we adopt each year, once we go through these hearings to use, so that we're consistent throughout the state. And so the first one that we will need to take action on is what I call our regular letter, which is the notice of decision letter. So if I can get those actions to start with that one, please.
We need a motion on that.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
So moved.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. No.
The second one is referred to as a discovery letter, and what that is when we go through the process of people not listing for tax purposes, we can discover current plus the back 5 years of property taxes, and that's the letter that needs to be adopted now.
So moved. Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. That is adopted.
And then the final letter, I refer to it as an untimely appeal. letter, and so there's a little bit different verbiage statutorily whether or not you can appeal an untimely notice. So therefore, they separated those notices several years ago, and so that it will be your last one.
Motion,
So moved.
Second.
questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved.
Great, thank y'all. So this year, we have received so far 40 informal appeals throughout for the county, which is very, very, so we still, have a month to go, and we'll go from there. Hopefully, we can keep that 0 as part of it. But so far, everything's been going good this year, appeal-wise, so we appreciate it. And thank you guys for your support. There's also, just so you know in your packet, an updated manual for you, as well as a pamphlet that the Department of Revenue requires to go out in the notices for if you need to refresh yourself on what goes on with the meetings going forward. So
Any questions?
This is up to date, 2018.
it's the last one that they made. Yes, ma'am. No changes are good changes.
Right. Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Having no other business before the board, is there a motion to recess as Board of Equalization Review until May 5th, 2025, and reconvene as the regular Board of Commissioners meeting?
So moved.
Second, questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, then we now set again as the Board of County Commissioners. First order of business, I'd like to call the first public hearing to order to consider proposed change to the county's ordinance related to tipping fees. The public hearing is called to order. Mr. Peter, would you please read the public notice?
Yes, sir. Public notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County on Monday, April 7th, 2025, at 6 o'clock p.m. in the Jonathan Felton Commissioners Room, second floor, County Administrative Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina, to consider proposed amendment in Chapter 22, Solid Waste Management, Article 2, Collection and Disposal of the County Ordinances by adding Section 22-40.1, Waivers of Solid Waste Tipping Fees. The proposed amendment would allow for the waiver of solid waste tipping fees under specified conditions, thereby promoting community welfare, environmental responsibility, and public health while maintaining accountability for illegal dumping. A copy of the proposed amendment is on display on the county's website at edgecombecountync.gov, as well as in the office of the county manager, 4th floor of the county administration building located at 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina, 27886. Interested parties may also request a copy of the proposed changes by calling 252-641-7834. Citizens who wish to address the board on this matter may do so at the meeting during the public hearing. Citizens may also submit their comments via email to publiccomments@edgecombeco.com or by mail to Tammy Faison, clerk to the board, P.O. Box 10, Tarboro, North Carolina, 27886. All written comments received by 5 o'clock p.m. on Friday, April 4th will be read at the meeting. Published March 19th, 2025, by order of the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County, Tammy Faison, clerk to the board.
Ms. Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In an effort to promote reasonable waste management and provide relief in specific situations while ensuring accountability, the attached ordinance proposes an amendment to the Edgecombe County Solid Waste Management Ordinance. This amendment establishes criteria for waiving tipping fees at the county's construction and demolition and municipal solid waste landfill under the following circumstances. 1, for nonprofit organizations engaged in community beneficial projects. 2, in cases of disaster recovery following a declared state of emergency. 3, for county-sponsored events that generate solid waste. And 4, for illegal dumping site cleanups, provided that the responsible party remains liable for any costs incurred. This amendment ensures that waivers serve a public benefit while maintaining strict limitations to prevent abuse and enforce financial responsibility on those who violate waste disposal laws. Pending public comment in the on this proposed action, I recommend that you adopt the ordinance amendment as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. At this time, I'd like to call for public comments. If there's anybody to speak, please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. Is there anybody to speak on this, during this public hearing? Hearing none, the public hearing is adjourned. The recommendations, what is the board's recommendation here? Is there a motion to approve? Second.
Second.
Questions?
Yeah.
All in,
I have a question.
go right ahead.
Yeah. Is there anything in here, the part that gives me pause on it is the nonprofit engaged in community beneficial projects. I feel like that could be something that could be open to some, I don't know, some assumptions, maybe, some of that. Is there anything in here about the number of times that they can use this in a given period of time? Is it kind of those questions, or is that up to the board that's reviewing it? Like, is there just gonna be a check box, oh, they check the box, it's good?
It's a good question, though. There's not a limit, but each case, a waiver has to be requested and has to be approved by the board before. So you
So
have the opportunity.
that comes to this
Yes, sir.
board.
It'll come with a recommendation or not from me, and it'll have to be approved by you.
And the
before a
history of
waiver.
that, whatever that organization should come with.
Yes, sir.
I understand this is from this is more from an economic development lens on those illegal dumping sites, but I just wanted to, that was my kind of hesitation with it.
That's a good question. I mean, over the years, it doesn't happen often, but we've gotten requests from nonprofit organizations, they're tearing down a building, and, up to this point, we've said, no. So I think if it's gonna be, you all will be able to judge whether or not you feel like there's a public benefit to it.
Yeah, I know that there's some nonprofits that kind of do some of that work, maybe if it's not strictly kind of nonprofit
Right,
related
that's
work,
right.
so.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimous. Public hearing number 2. A public hearing is called to order to consider special use permit number 25 SUP 10. The public hearing is called to order. Please read the public notice, Mr. Peters.
Yes, sir. The Edgecombe County Board of Commissioners will hold an evidentiary hearing during their next regular meeting on Monday, April 7th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. in the Jonathan Felton Commissioners Room located on the second floor of the Edgecombe County Administration Building Auditorium located at 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. The purpose of this hearing is to consider a special use permit request, case 25-SUP-10, submitted by Pine Grove Farm LLC for the operation of a sand mine which is located on NC Highway 97 West, Brattleboro, North Carolina, also identified as parcel 389049222000. Copies of the application package for the sand mine are available for public inspection during business hours 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the County Planning Office, room 205, County Administration Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. All interested citizens are encouraged to attend the hearing and share their thoughts, concerns, and suggestions on this matter. Comments may also be submitted in writing prior to the hearing by emailing them to publiccomments@edgecomco.com or mailing them to Tammy Faison, Clerk to the Board, P.O. Box 10, Tarboro, North Carolina 27886. Public comments received by mail or email before 5:00 p.m. on Friday, April 4, 2025 will be read at the meeting. You may visit the county's website at www.edgecombecountync.gov. For questions related to the sand mine, please contact the Edgecombe County Planning Department at 252-641-7802. By order of the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County, Tammy Faison, Clerk to the Board.
Mr. Evans?
So, Mr. Chairman, first we need to have anyone who will speak on this to be sworn in first. We'll invite Mr. Durbin Spell to come forward. He will give you an overview. He will have to be sworn in as well. And then anyone else that is here to speak on this will need to be sworn in.
Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence that you provide before this board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Is there anybody else? Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm Durbin Spell, Planning and Inspections Director. Piney Grove Farm LLC submitted a request to operate a sand mine off of North Carolina Highway 97 West, Brattleboro, North Carolina. The sand mine consists of a proposed 34.35 acre excavation area with a total permitted area proposed at 44.32 acres. The applicant has applied for a mining permit with the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, Division of Energy, Mining, and Land Resources, which is currently under review. Per Unified Development Ordinance Table 4.2.1, all types of extractive industry are allowed in the AR30 zoning district with the approval of a special use permit. The extractive industry use category includes use types involving the extraction, removal, or basic processing of minerals, liquids, gases, or other natural resources. Such uses also include quarrying, well operations, drilling, mining, and other procedures typically done in an extraction site. The UDO development standards pursuant to section 4.3.33, the extractive industry applies. The applicant also requests per UDO section 6.5.13C that in place of the type C buffer that is required for the extractive industry use, the alternative landscape plan shown on the concept plan is to be approved along with this special use permit request. The landscaping proposed by the applicant consists of a 46-foot unexcavated buffers with 6-foot berm, silted fence, along with existing trees surrounding the mining area. The technical review committee had no comments. Board of Commissioners shall review the application and decide on one of the following in accordance with section 2.3.20F. Review criteria. 1, approval of the special use and concept plan as proposed. 2, approval of a revised special use and concept plan. Or 3, denial of the special use and concept plan. The development must undergo site plan review following approval of the special use. Philip Joyner with Matt Gay Associates is here to do a brief overview of the project as well as to answer any questions you may have.
Hey, my name's Philip Joyner, like I said, with Matt Gay Associates. And
Your name again, sir?
Philip Joyner.
Okay.
This project's for a sand pit. They'll be mining sand. And like I said, we've already applied for the permit to DEQ for mining permit. And it's currently under review. As part of that process, we had to send out notices to all the adjacent landowners within 1,000 feet of the permit boundary. So those were sent out several months ago. There's no wetlands or streams within the permit boundary. Like I said, there'll be a 40-foot unexcavated buffer between the excavation pits and the mining boundary, where they're going to build a 6-foot berm, which will be vegetated, which will help with noise and visibility and also safety. Dust will be controlled using water trucks at the site. When the mining is complete, it will be reclaimed as a freshwater pond that will be stocked with fish and also provide long-term value and usability. If you have any other questions.
I have a question. How far is that from the Pretty Good Sand thing on 97 there? How close is it to?
I'm not sure. We're a few miles outside of Rocky Mount.
Well, it's on 97.
And I
where
know
you-
it's on 97 as well. I'm not sure.
You don't know how far it is from
No.
where you're proposing this site? So my question would have been, how would it affect that?
I got you.
But you don't know.
No.
Okay, see if I can find. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I had a question for our planning director. I wanted to ask him, since it says that in place of the type C buffer that is required, does this alternative fit, whereas your type C buffer that you have as a requirement?
Yes, and so the alternative buffer that they're requesting, they're requesting use of a 6-foot berm along with a 46-foot unescaped buffer. And also, they're gonna be using existing tree area that is in the vicinity of the site as well, as far and replacement of the type C buffer that is permitted. So I feel like that will be adequate.
Would this be more of a buffer than is required by our ordinance, or this is more stringent? Is this more stringent than the ordinance would require?
As far as more stringent, I wouldn't say it's more stringent. I would say, looking at it, it would probably be on par. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
So you said you got, you asked the surrounding neighbors, did you get any pushback or feedback from the people who live down there?
Staff, we sent out letters a couple weeks ago, and we have not heard
From
or
anybody?
received any calls or complaints regarding this
Okay.
proposal.
Any other questions from the board? Appears that nobody else has sworn, has spoken. Hearing from no others, I will adjourn the public hearing. And what is before us is request of a special use permit. And is there a motion?
I would make that motion.
Second.
Questions?
What's the motion?
Excuse me. The motion is to approve hearing no opposition, would the motion be to approve all of the review criteria? A special use permit shall be approved upon the determination that the special use, number one, will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed. Is the motion to approve that? Is the motion also to approve complies with all required standards, conditions, and specifications of this ordinance? Number three, will not substantially injure the value of the abutting property or the special use is a public necessity. Number four, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located. Number five, is it in general conformity with the county's adopted policy ordinance? And number six, is subject to a concept plan that accurately depicts the proposed use configuration. Would that be your motion, Mr. Boswell?
Yes, Mr. Williams
Yes,
made the
would that-
motion.
yes, sir. Would that be your-
I'll second it.
Questions? The motion states that the review criteria, that this will includes the total review criteria according to our ordinance. All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, permit is adopted. Thank you so much. Public hearing number 3 is called to order to consider yes special use permit case number 25 SUP 11. The public hearing is called to order. Mr. Peters, please read the public notice.
Yes, sir. The Edgecombe County Board of Commissioners will hold an evidentiary hearing during their next regular meeting on Monday, April 7th, 2025 at 6:00 p.m. in the Jonathan Felton Commissioners Room located on the second floor of the Edgecombe County Administration Building Auditorium located at 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. The purpose of this hearing is to consider a special use permit request, case 25-SUP11, submitted by Edgecombe County Solid Waste for the replacement and expansion of a convenience site located at 1429 Horse Chapel Road, Tarboro, North Carolina, also identified as parcel number 4709219378. Copies of the application package for the same amount are available for public inspection during business hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the County Planning Office, room 205, County Administration Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Tarboro, North Carolina. All interested citizens are encouraged to attend the hearing and share their thoughts, concerns, and suggestions on this matter. Comments may also be submitted in writing prior to the hearing by emailing them to publiccomments@edgecombeco.com or mailing them to Tammy Faison, clerk to the board, P.O. Box 10, Tarboro, North Carolina 27886. Public comments received by mail or email before 5:00 p.m. on Friday, April 4th, 2025 will be read at the meeting. You may visit the county's website at www.edgecombecounty.nc.gov For questions related to this sand mine, please contact Edgecombe County Planning Department at 252-641-7802. About order the Board of Commissioners of Edgecombe County, Tammy Faison, clerk to the board.
Mr. Evans?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to invite Mr. Spell to come forward again, and anyone else who wishes to speak during this public hearing so that they can be sworn in as well.
Put your left hand on the Bible, right hand up. Do you swear or affirm to tell that everything that you present before this board is the whole truth, the nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good evening again.
Go ahead.
I'm Dervin Spell, Planning Inspection Director.
Pull your mic down.
Okay.
Good,
Okay.
yeah, okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Edgecombe County Solid Waste submitted a request for replacement of an existing convenience site located at 1429 Harts Chapel Road in Tarboro. The convenience site location serves for the purpose of collecting residential trash and debris. The site is equipped with a 200 square foot building for employees. The building is in need of replacement. The intent of Edgecombe County Solid Waste is to replace the wooden building with a concrete structure that would be 300 square feet to serve the same purpose and amenities as the current structure. Per UDO table 4.2.1 principal use table, transfer stations are allowed in the AR30 zoning district with the approval of a special use permit. The transfer station use category includes uses that receive solid or liquid waste from others for disposal on the site or for transfer to another location, uses that collect sanitary waste, or uses that manufacture or produce goods or energy from the composting of organic material or processing of scrap or waste material. This use category includes use types that receive waste from others. The Technical Review Committee didn't have any comments. The Board of Commissioners shall review the application and decide one of the following in accordance with Section 2.3.20F review criteria. 1, approval of the special use and concept plan as proposed. 2, approval of a revised special use and concept plan. Or 3, denial of the special use and concept plan. Development must undergo site plan review and obtain development permits with the approval of special use. Assistant County Manager Michael Matthews is here to do a brief overview and to answer any additional questions you may have.
I'm Michael Matthews, I'm Assistant County Manager. Basically what we are doing is this convenience site has a permanent structure on it that houses our convenience site workers. This building is made out of wood. I think it's been there approximately 25, 30 years. And it has an air conditioning system that is built into it. Kind of basically a window unit that's built into it. It has leaked inside the wall over the past couple of years, basically making it non-repairable. And so our intent is to tear this building down and go back with a concrete block building that is very similar in size. I think this one's approximately 280 square foot. The new building will be approximately 300 square foot. So it's not much bigger than what they have now, but it's going to be a concrete structure as opposed to a wooden structure that'll last much longer. So that is the intent of what we're trying to do.
Got an estimated cost? Do we have an estimated
I don't
cost?
know. I have heard prices. Our architect come back with a price of $200,000, and I'm not sure where he got that from. But I have asked I sent the plans to another reliable contractor, local, and he said he thought it would range somewhere between 35 and 50,000. Our maintenance director feels like it's probably somewhere in the 60 to 70 range. So there's a wide variety of prices there. We do have money budgeted to do this though. We had estimated somewhere around about 80,000, so that's how much money we had budgeted in solid waste capital outlay.
To build how many square feet we talking?
300.
And you said this is for building for the employees?
I don't know what we
How many
need-
employees
I
is
don't know
it?
what we need to
It's
approve
just,
it.
it's just one employee.
Huh? One
It's just,
employee?
yes, ma'am.
Somebody's small building cost for this much.
Yeah, I really don't think well, obviously, prices have changed, I haven't built anything, so I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but I would anticipate it to be somewhere in the 40, 50, maybe 60,000 range. One thing that I think we may have to do is we do have to start we have to put in a handicap accessibility where our current building does not have it. We also have to install handicap parking, so that is part of that price. So our current buildings do not have that in them.
Is this something you put out to bid?
Yes, ma'am, we'll have to, yes.
We can't do this in-house?
No, I know, sir.
We won't build.
Yeah.
I'm really outdated, okay?
Those architectural plans are really detailed.
It is, our maintenance department has gone out and tried to make repairs on the building, and by the time we didn't actually done repairs that would needed to be, we'd almost be better off just tear the whole thing down and start from scratch.
It sounds like at the high school, we ought to have one of these student programs so that we could get to do this, because this price is sound, I'm gonna prove this, but this sounds like too much money for them.
I remember they took that program out of schools.
Right, they took that out of the schools, and
It's
people got
back now.
nobody to build nothing.
I will add to it that, so this is kind of going to be our starter building. What our plan is to, like we discussed earlier today, was moving forward is potentially rebuilding one of these buildings every 2 to 3 years over the next 10 to 15 years. Because some of the other buildings are in really good shape, but we know as time goes on, they're going to dilapidate as well. So if we've got a generalized plan of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it, we can just move forward that all the buildings will match from here on out.
Okay. Any other questions? Oh. Is there anybody else to speak? Hearing none, the public hearing is adjourned.
I make a motion to approve based on the 6 review criteria presented.
Second,
I would make a motion to approve based on the 6 review criteria as presented.
and I'll second that motion, please.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, on the agenda, we have public petitions. If there's anybody that would like to speak to the board at this time, would you please come forward and state your name and address for the public record? Is there anybody here that would like to speak to the board? Hearing none, move on through the agenda. Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. On scheduled appointment tonight, we have Mr. Adam Green with North Carolina Forestry Services. He's going to come and give you all an update, and also Mr. Antoine Brown, our Emergency Services Director, will come and talk some about the recent burn ban that we had. I think they both will be tag teaming on that.
Okay.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
I was at a planning and board meeting in another county a couple weeks ago, and they told me that they work for free and only get a cup of coffee every once in a while. I'm hoping y'all get more than a cup of coffee, because y'all had a lot to do tonight.
Slightly more.
Maybe it's a big cup. So, I just wanted to come. I normally send y'all just a pamphlet every year, or a brochure that we put together kind of on updates with us throughout the year, but I figured y'all had asked us to come and kind of give you an update on the burning ban as well, so we'll do that too. But it'd be a good chance to come and actually give y'all a PowerPoint and let you see exactly what we do here in the county and across the state. So we put together a little presentation for you, and we'll go through. If y'all have any questions, feel free to stop us. But I do like to do this every year, either give you a PowerPoint or turn in just a budget request with some information, simply because 40% of our operating budget, y'all fund that for us, the other 60% coming from the state. But I'll run through this and let y'all, if y'all have any questions, you just stop me.
It's one of those nights, isn't it?
That'll work. So, just a quick overview across the state, some forestry facts across the state. There's 18 million acres of forest land in the state of North Carolina. 80% of that land is privately owned by private individuals such as yourselves. Diverse forest communities across the state. Forest products industry is one of the largest manufacturing industries in the area. We have 4 national forests here in North Carolina, and then 6 educational state forests and 3 recreational state forests that are managed by the Forest Service. Just some Edgecombe County facts. There's 324,359 total land acreage in the county. Just over 172,000 acres of that is in timberland. There's 37 streams and drainages that all feed into the Tar River, and a little over 60 miles of the Tar River flows through the county. Just a few little pictures there from across the county. Just some history. North Carolina, you see the license plates, first in forestry, so we're technically the first in forestry. The first forestry school in the United States started at the Biltmore Estate back in 1898. And it established its first Forest Service, beginning of the Forest Service in 1915. So as far as the southeastern states, we were one of the first to start a state Forest Service. There's some pictures here, older historical photos. I believe the center one is actually from Edgecombe County. Today, the agency has about 700 employees. There's a presence in all counties. Typically, every county has a county office. Then we have district offices, region offices, so on and so forth. And it's a greatly expanded mission to protect, manage, and promote forest resources for the citizens of North Carolina. That's just an overview of kind of how we're set up across the state. We have 3 regions and 13 districts. Region 1 is the coast. Region 2 is the Piedmont, which is us here. And then Region 3 is the mountain. So we're in District 5, kind of that very northeast corner of Region 2. Encompasses, we go from pretty much Wayne County at Goldsboro all the way up to Northampton, Halifax, and Franklin and Warren County. Just a few more pictures from here. Different fires and things going on in Edgecombe County. Of course, Smokey the Bear, that's us. That's where he comes from, is with us. So just some more information to protect, manage, and promote that falls under protection. So that's wildfire and then insects and disease outbreaks, southern pine beetle outbreaks. Most of our efforts are focused on suppression, which is actually fighting fire, prevention of wildfires, and then public education. Then under management, we do have landowner assistance programs. They're objective-driven management plans. We actually write management plans for landowners that own timber with meeting their goals and objectives for managing their timber. Water quality, and then urban forest. So water quality, we inspect logging jobs. As you see logging going on, we typically go out on site, inspect them to make sure they're not causing any erosion or stream blockages to any waterways. And then supporting existing forest products markets, assisting with the establishment of new markets, and education of the public about forest products. So go to a lot of school events. A lot of people don't realize all the different stuff that comes from wood. It's not just paper, things like that. There's a lot of medicines and other things that come from it as well. So just some accomplishments across the state for calendar year 2024. There was about 7,000 wildfires across the state. Roughly 28,000 acres burned. 1 million acres of trees were planted through our FDP program. Just over 54,000 acres of trees were planted annually, was the average. 57,000 roughly water quality inspections are done annually across the state. 252 prescribed burns for just under 17,000 acres. About 382 site visits, which is going out meeting with somebody who say lives in the town of Tar that has 1 tree in the yard they're concerned about that's dying. You know, we go out and look at that as well.
So the public can call you
Yeah.
if
Yes,
they've
sir.
got, and on their property, they've got some interest about.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's 90% of what we do, yes, sir. So in Edgecombe County last year, we wrote 20 forest management plans that for a total of 1,912 acres. There was 636 acres of Cost share for forest establishment, which is tree planting, so that was cut over land that was replanted into trees. We inspected 128 logging sites last year. And then as far as on the wildfire and emergency response side, we had 110 calls for service. That included 57 wildfires for 104 acres. During that time, on those fires, 21 homes were protected. We had 4 illegal burns, 49 false alarms. And with us, a false alarm could be any number of things sometimes. So it could be, you know, it was not a woods fire, it was a vehicle fire. We may have still responded and assisted the fire department, but we don't really capture house fires, things like that. But that other 49, that was false alarms, other incidents, and then non-escape fires. Sometimes we get a call that, you know, there's a fire, but it's really a prescribed burn going on when we get there.
A prescribed burn means you permitted it, that means that you gave a permit, do you have to give?
Correct, that's right, yep. And then we did 13 public information education events, anything from school programs to parades. And then we had 2 insects and disease requests, you know, looking at just a single tree in someone's yard that they had concerns about, recommendations of whether to cut it or leave it alone.
Don't nobody know you do that.
Yeah, it's growing a little bit. You would think there'd be more of it with Tarver and Rocky Mount, but it's
We know a little bit more now, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then just some cooperative fire control stuff. So we're partners with the U.S. Forest Service, of course, local fire departments here in the county, county and state emergency management. We work well with them, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and then, of course, the Southeast Compact. All the southern states have an agreement between the Forest Services to offer help to other states in the event of a wildfire emergency. And then we have 2 Type 2 incident management teams. So we work nationwide. We are prone to go to other parts of the state and other parts of the country, depending on what's going on.
If you respond out of state,
Yep. Yes, sir. So, yes,
is that state responsible for your expenses, or we pay that?
Yes, the state that we respond to, they actually pay us back for our time. And then typically when we go out of state, we can go one of 2 different ways. We can go what we call state time, where that state basically pays the state of North Carolina back for their time and expenses, and we get paid basically time and a half. Or we can actually go what is called AD time, which is where we physically take time off from the North Carolina Forest Service and we sign a contract with the federal government. That typically pays us a little bit better in the end, but it's a good tool because it does 2 things for us. That our folks here, they learn a lot when they go out west. They see stuff out there that you typically don't see here. So when that kind of stuff happens here, we're kind of more prepared to take action on it. Typically, myself and then Josh here, he is our equipment operator. He actually runs our fire dozer that's at our office, but we typically do make 1 or 2 trips a year out west at different times. Last year we carried one of our engines out we drove it to Washington State.
You drove it to Washington?
Drove it to Washington State, longest ride of my life. It was miserable. But we kept that truck there for a month and a half, rotated people back and forth on it. During that time, we all took turns flying out there and running that truck, and that was just helping the state of Washington with new fires as they started, being able to get resources on them quick. And then later on in the year, a few of us went up to Oregon and worked a fire there. We actually flew to Oregon to work that fire. And then most recently, Hurricane Helen, we had 14 of us from our district that dispatched to Helen. We stayed 14 days there doing primarily search and rescue and recovery missions. And then the same stuff happens here. You know, just like we just finished up with all the wildfires in the mountains, we had to call on help from those western states. So we had a lot of help come from Washington, Oregon, Montana, Texas, Arkansas. You know, they're not burning right now, so they sent us a lot of help for the fires we just had in the mountains. So outside of wildfire, we're kind of all hazard response, you know, emergencies and disasters. QVC was a big one with us. I think we had like 16 Forest Service people assigned to the QVC fire. We had 2 dozers there, helicopter, several other pieces of equipment that we brought in to benefit and assist the fire departments with. So we do respond to more than just wildfires. Cost share programs, so we administer cost share programs for landowners they can apply for. Basically, they're like the forest development program. If you cut a tract of timber, we are able to, you can sign up, we write a forest management plan on it, and then you can sign up for, basically it's a lottery system for cost share funding. If you receive it, the state will pay 40% of the cost to replant that timber on your land. You only pay the remaining 60%. And then we have some other similar cost share programs for prescribed burning and southern pine beetle prevention, which covers burning and thinning of pine plantations. Then there are some fee services that we offer. The management plans, they do cost. I think it's $5 an acre. We do run 2 nurseries in the state, one in the mountains, one in Goldsboro. That's where we get our seedlings from for replanting. Then prescribed burning, there's a charge for that, of course. And then forestation services such as tree planting, timber stand improvement, site preparation. See, a lot of times we do a lot of fire lines, pre-existing fire lines for landowner to define property lines. We charge for that. We put them in with the bulldozer. And then some of the non-fee services, so regeneration plans that we write before planting, practice plans if they're going to be performing a practice such as burning or tree planting, thinning, something like that. There's no cost. And then of course assistance, just forest management assistance. People calling, ask a question, we go out and meet with them. And then forest health assessments, like looking at that single tree in someone's yard, that's no charge to that. And this the Edgecombe County staff right now, there's 3 of us that work this county. Myself is the county ranger. Our assistant county ranger position is currently vacant. We're working on hiring that position now. And then Josh is our operator here for the county. Y'all have any questions?
Did you say earlier that there was 60 miles of streams and rivers, or was that just rivers?
60 miles of the Tor River.
The Tor
that
River.
runs through the county, yep.
That's what it was.
Time you take all them bends and curves in, it works out to 60 miles.
Yeah, I floated before. I was wondering if you were saying just the river or river and streams.
Right, no, just the river.
My husband asked me as we passed by going to church, and I think he does it every other month. Who is supposed to clean those streams with all the forestry that ends up in the river?
So that is soil and water. That would be a question for Mr. Scott Kaiser. No, we do inspect the logging jobs. So now when they're logging, there's different rules they have to abide by. One is they have to leave a buffer rule off any blue line streams. So that'd be any stream that feeds directly into a creek or drainage that does flow to the river. And then we make sure that before they leave that logging site that they haven't, a lot of times they'll temporarily block something to get machines across it. We go out and make sure that they've cleaned that back out and got it back stabilized before they leave the area. And if they don't, we're able to cite them for that. So, now I think y'all had some questions on the burning ban, was that right?
It's still in place.
It has been lifted as of April 2nd. So, with us, the burning ban, and I'll let Antoine mention on it too, typically it is very rare that we have a burning ban. We get calls all the time, is there a burning ban? But it's actually pretty rare that we have one. This year in particular, they had a lot of fires start up in the mountains. Resources got stretched thin. We had a lot of people from the eastern side of the state have to go to the western end to help. And a lot of that came from Hurricane Helen. They have so much dang timber and debris, it's making their fires much more harder to control now. So the burning ban for us, we only have jurisdiction 100 foot from an occupied dwelling. So that area within 100 foot of a home, it falls on Antoine, the fire marshal's office, to handle that. Anything beyond 100 foot is us. If a fire escapes someone's control within that 100 foot, they lose control of their fire, then we can have jurisdiction inside that 100 foot. So typically, when a burning ban is issued, normally the county follows suit and issues the same, just to make it clear across the board, no burning, because it leaves too much gray area for confusion, saying yes, you can burn in that 100 foot, no, you can't burn past that 100 foot. And most of the fires start within 100 foot of a heist. 90% of them, I would say, here start within 100 foot of a heist. So they issued one, the burn ban as far as us, we're in the Department of Ag. They get issued by the Commissioner of Agriculture. He makes that decision based off of knowledge from other district foresters and regional foresters, and they made the decision to issue one. simply because we were so short-handed for help, and we were having to call in out-of-state resources to help us. So we were trying to do everything we could to prevent any more fires from happening. So Antoine, they followed suit with the same thing. During that time here, I'd say we could tell a little bit of difference in the amount of fires, although it does put us busy, a little bit busier, because we also handle the law enforcement aspect on those fires. So during that time frame of about 2 weeks, I think we ended up writing 5 or 6 state citations for people burning during the burn ban. And that was with us being as lenient as we could on that. That was actually fires that escaped. All of those fires that actually escaped someone's control. And we were forced to write them citations. Now, we did have probably 20 plus calls of people burning during the burning ban. Most of them were within the 100 foot, so they were basically warned either by us or by Antoine's office, you know, of the burning ban violation. So, you got anything to add to
And
that?
just to, like Adam said, most of it was within the 100 foot, and most people were burning trash. And so at no point is it legal to burn trash in the U.S. really. Particularly in North Carolina is the Division of Air Quality, and so that's where those violations came in. It does open up a conversation, though, in the future about us thinking through the thought process of a potential ordinance, because we did have some folks who, no matter the ban, they were pretty persistent on burning. And so we had the sheriff's office go out and help us kind of enforce that local no burning, and that helped. So that's kind of, he did a great job of explaining it. So he talked about the law enforcement side, and they're essential partners. We could not do what we do without them, and so when they come with the statewide ban, our job is to support them, because we lean on them when we need it.
How much is that fine?
The burning during the burn ban is $100 plus the cost of court. Yeah.
Oh, you might have to take it up a little bit.
You what?
Make it $500, they might not.
Right, yeah. And it just depends, you know.
Not if you
what the
burn.
case is- What the case is, so.
And then also, it's important to note that if you live in certain municipalities that have more stringent burn regulations, and so complying with those is important.
Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you all.
Very informative.
Yeah, it was informative.
Mr. Chairman, if I could
I
just
got
add-
2 trees I need him to look at.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
You heard him, he's happy to look at. I just want to add to what Antoine said. I mean, since I've been here, I can't think of a single disaster emergency situation that we've had that our friends at the Forestry Service weren't there. They're there from planning, from beginning to the end, along with, you know, all the other first responders. So they are a great partner to have, and the 40% cost share that we provide to support that office is certainly well worth that investment, I think.
You know, it's just so many, we've got so many agencies that we don't know what they do, okay? They're there and they're doing it, you know, it's kind of silent, you know, until you really need you, you know? But thank all of you for what you do, okay? Appreciate it. At this time, move on to other business, budget.
Budget amendment? Yes, sir. You have a few there that require your approval. Budget amendment number 1 is to appropriate additional excise tax receipts in the Register of Deeds office. You'll see appropriating that additional revenue and expenditure. Number 2, additional costs related to children in foster care. These are children with special needs that require a higher level of care. We've had more need for that this year than we've seen in the past. So you'll see that this budget amendment is appropriating funds from the Social Services Fund, Fund 19, fund balance to cover those additional costs. Budget amendment number 3 is to appropriate additional 4-H deposits received. You'll see the amount of $15,000. Number 4 is to appropriate insurance claim received in the Sheriff's Office, to appropriate that under vehicle maintenance. Number 5, we had some discussion in our retreat earlier today about funding through Edgecombe County Public Schools for school resource officers, and they did receive some additional funding from the state, and so that is being appropriated by that budget amendment. Number 6, these are some lines within the Sheriff's Office you'll see moving within his budget lines. Number 7, There were some discretionary juvenile crime prevention funds, or JCPC funds, that were made available from the state, and that is going to Methodist Home for Children. So we are appropriating those additional funds. This is outside of our regular appropriation for Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. Budget amendment number 8, we are appropriating funds within budget. You'll see we are budgeting some additional investment income as well as some additional Medicaid cost settlement funds and you'll see some other expenditure lines. This is to appropriate funds so that we can purchase another ambulance in emergency services. And budget amendment number 9, this is, and we'll talk about, this is connected to agenda item L. There will be an amendment there, agenda item L, for our capital project ordinance. But what we're doing here is we're budgeting additional investment income. Our investment income receipts are coming in much higher than what we had budgeted at $500,000, and we are appropriating that to the transfer to other funds, and that is so that we can create a contingency line for our capital projects, and that ordinance will be later on in the agenda. But I recommend that you approve budget amendments 1 through 9. The rest are for your information, but happy to answer any questions that you have.
Or any questions before I get a motion?
2 questions. Number 2, for the foster care, it
Yes.
says county is responsible for the full cost. There's no reimbursement for that?
Up to a certain point. Sometimes they are in facilities that are not paid for by Medicaid. And then anything, we get a certain amount from state foster aid care, I forget the exact name, and this is exceeding what we get from that. So anything above that is all county funds.
Now, some of these are special homes. I think you mentioned the foster care, they're not regular.
Not regular,
Like
that's
they're
right.
low
These are
county.
for intensive services, level 3
I just
homes.
assumed the state would help pay for that.
They do.
They
And this
have
is
some, they
above,
don't pay.
this is above what we receive in
Right.
state.
That was one of those.
And then number 8, I see we're changing a lot of expenditures around. Are we gonna have to come back in and adjust those at the end of the year?
No.
That's a lot of changes in expenditures.
Sure, yeah, we've looked at those closely, and those, we feel like we won't need those funds in those lines.
Okay, rent's going to 0. What were we renting?
We were renting space for DMV, the DMV office, but we've now purchased the building on North Main Street.
So these aren't specific to emergency services.
Yes.
These are across the board
That's
services.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second it.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. Next.
This is for attachment number 6, agenda item B. It's regarding Edgecombe Community College capital project approval. The community college plans to expand its collision repair building. This will create dedicated spaces for their automotive systems training. They will request funds from the state construction infrastructure funds to cover the construction costs. However, approval is needed from the board since the expansion will result in additional operating and utility costs. Once the expansion goes online, we can expect their funding requests to the county to include these additional costs, which they are estimating to be $11,728. I recommend that you approve the request and authorize me to execute the same.
Motion?
Do I need to recuse myself?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to excuse Ms. Harris from this
So moved.
question. All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, Ms. Harris, you excused. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Item C is regarding a memorandum of understanding with our school system for elementary basketball league. Edgecombe County Public Schools and our Parks and Recreation Department have collaborated to develop and implement an elementary basketball league for students in grades 3 through 5 at several participating elementary schools. This new league promotes physical activity, student engagement, and school spirit, while also providing opportunities for community and parent involvement. The attached MOU formalizes our partnership and outlines the respective responsibilities of the county and the school system. Our Parks and Recreation Department will lead in providing equipment, uniforms, and scheduling support. The financial support is not to exceed $5,000, which is already available in our Parks and Recreation budget. The school system will provide coaches, referees, and facilities to host practices and games. This is a positive initiative for our youth, families, and schools, and a strong example of collaboration between the two public entities to serve the broader good. Therefore, I recommend that you approve the attached MOU and authorize me to execute on behalf of the county.
Motion.
Yes.
Second. Questions?
Our only question is, this is gonna be for boys and girls.
Yes, ma'am.
I was asked that, I've asked the question.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
other questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Next, you'll see that the town of Speed is requesting their 6 town streets to be added to the state secondary road system. DOT has reviewed their requests and they notes that they meet their minimum standards. And so for your approval is needed for the attached resolution before DOT can add these streets to the system. I recommend that you approve that as presented.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye. Aye. All opposed, hearing none, it is approved. Next.
I just have a question on that.
Go ahead.
I'm voting to approve it. What does that change any, I mean, it takes the maintenance off of Speed, I guess, right?
Yes, that's right.
But does it change I don't understand why we have to approve that.
It's just a requirement of DOT for it to be done.
So, I mean, the state's just saying we're gonna pay to maintain those roads and not pass that on to Speed to do now.
State's gonna
right?
take over they
They've
would,
taken
they
them
would,
over
they would do the
before.
maintenance.
It was Speed's responsibility to
Which probably means they
fill
were
a
not being
pothole,
maintained.
repave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they cannot afford it.
That's part of my question in there, I guess. Okay.
And it's a similar process, like, let's say, for example, if there's a subdivision that's built and they build their main streets into the subdivision to DOT standards, and they request DOT to take those over, that would have to come through this board as well. It's just a
And
step.
if it's
the
not
DOT
built to
requires.
if it's not built to DOT standards, most of the time the roads are not maintained. Did we,
Yeah, we did. Sorry. I was
did I get approval on it? Did I carry the motion? Okay. Next.
Item E is regarding our opioid settlement funds resolution. As per our current MOA, Edgecombe County is committed to addressing the opioid crisis through various strategies funded by the opioid settlement funds. This MOA must be updated multiple times yearly to outline how the county is leveraging the money. The amendments that are proposed are to reflect the request for proposals process that staff pursued and recently closed for the evidence-based addiction treatment. Naming the providers or awardees for the 4th strategy, and the awardees are the Rocky Mount Treatment Center and Freedom Hill Community Health Center are listed there in the amended ordinance. The recommendation is to approve the amendment to the MOA as presented, and you'll see that the total amount allocated across the 5 strategies remains at $1,435,903. And just to clarify for understanding, our staff put out a request for proposals for qualified entities who could provide a service under this program, and these 2, Rocky Mount Treatment Center and Freedom Hill, submitted proposals reviewed by staff and recommended that they'll receive funding. And so therefore, our resolution for the use of these settlement funds has to be amended to reflect that.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Questions?
Where is this Rocky Mount Treatment Center?
Rocky Mount Treatment Center? Yeah, it's in Rocky Mountain, that's all I know.
That don't tell me anything.
We can find out, we can get more details.
Sound like as much as you're gonna get right now.
I can't get nobody no money. I don't know where they are, who they are. I've never heard of the Rocky Mount Treatment Center. That's why I asked.
All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Moving on.
Item F. Ms. Etheridge, our health director, is recommending changes to the description for the administrative support specialist position. The revision will restructure the position to be better suited for the needs of the department. I recommend that you approve the updated job description for the position as presented.
Any questions before we get a motion?
So this position is already there, she's just
Yes,
changing.
ma'am. This is an existing position. It does not change the scale.
It's covering some things they already doing that they're not getting paid for.
Motion to approve.
Second. The second? Did I get a second? Chair seconds. All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
Item G, this is for our JCPC funding. We expect to get the same level of funding in FY '26 as current year, which is $25,122. As you know, these are to provide services to court-involved and at-risk youth. The JCPC Council at their last meeting voted to recommend funding per the attached spreadsheet. I recommend that you approve the allocation of these funds as presented, and that includes the required 10% match, which equals $25,512, and that will be included in our FY '26 budget. And just as a note, there are no new programs to be recommended this year. These are programs that already received JCPC funds.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Item H, for your consideration is amendment number 3 to the grant project ordinance for the Edgecombe Water and Sewer District 6 Water and Wastewater System Improvements Project. The amendment appropriates additional earned interest funding in the amount of $66,787. And this interest just been accrued, those funds being in that, so we have to appropriate it to the project and use it accordingly. That will bring the total budget to $9,467,787.25. Recommend that you approve amendment number 3 to the grant project ordinance as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions?
One question.
Go ahead.
Those funds, if they're not used at the end of that project, we can reallocate those to other projects,
No,
correct?
they will go back to USDA.
They would.
Yes, sir.
My question, are those fire hydrants under this? Okay.
Are we expecting that we're gonna need to use that? Or we're just doing it because it's sitting there?
No, so it needs to be spent on this project, and so with those hydrants, what was left out of it was there's gonna be some additional cost for, project administration on the Wooten Company side, so that's will cover that. Also, there was about $15,000 of expenditures prior to being awarded this funding that the county took on, that we can use that to be reimbursed for.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Item I is regarding calling for a public hearing. It notes on your agenda special use permit, but it's not that. It is a renaming of a road. You'll see that the applicant has requested to rename a private street located off the south side of NC 124 East Pine Tops. The applicant proposes to rename Bearfield Lane to either Barfield Lane as the first choice or Barfield Place as the second choice. This private lane has 6 structures addressed on it, and an intended goal of the street renaming is to create clarity. There is required a public hearing before you consider taking action on renaming. Recommend that you call for that public hearing at your May 5th meeting.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it is called. Next.
Next is regarding our memorandum of agreement for the Edgecombe Works program. Attached for your review and approval is an amendment to the memorandum of understanding between Edgecombe County and Edgecombe Community College regarding the Edgecombe Works program for the current fiscal year FY25. The amendment clarifies the enrollment priority of the Office Skills and Tech Skills Academies. As amended, the academies will continue to give first priority to Edgecombe County government employees. When additional slots are available, enrollment will be open to unemployed Edgecombe County residents who are referred by the county's career navigator. All participants must still meet the eligibility criteria and program expectations established by the community college. The reason for this change is to ensure that if we do not have enough county staff members to fill a class, we can still proceed with the training by opening it to unemployed residents. This approach allows us to maximize the use of available resources while continuing to make a strategic investment in our local workforce. All other provisions of the original MOU remain unchanged. I recommend that you approve the amendment as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Yes, excuse me, is approved. Next.
Item K is regarding declaring county-owned equipment as surplus. Presented for your approval for surplus is the attached list of vehicles and reference computers and related equipment that have now exceeded their useful life. I recommend that you approve the surplus of these vehicles and computers as presented. I also would ask you to consider, there were 3 more items. There's this at your place, and these are 3 vehicles from our emergency services department. If you would consider adding those as well.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. Next.
Give these over in insurance.
Item L, and again, this is the one that tied back to budget amendment number 9. And so, as you saw from that budget amendment, we appropriated those additional revenues and recommending that we add this additional line for contingency. This capital project ordinance includes the construction of our new animal shelter, as well as the modernization of a number of our elevators. We realized we had not included contingency for either of those projects. You know, we certainly don't want to create opportunities for change orders, but projects these big, there's likely the opportunity we'll come across that. So to get ahead of that, I'm recommending that you approve this amendment to our capital projects ordinance to add that $100,000 line for contingency.
Motion?
Should we make an amendment to this just to say contingency, not specific animal shelter contingency?
I think that's a good recommendation. Yes, sir.
Motion is,
That be okay with for that to say contingency?
the motion is just to add as contingency.
For contingency,
For
not specific.
contingency.
Second, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Thank you. Item M, as you see, Sheriff Atkinson is recommending that you approve the attached proclamation that will declare April 13th through the 19th as National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. I recommend that you approve as submitted.
No. Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
I'd like to say thank you to our telecommunicators for that
Right.
very difficult job that they perform for us. Mr. Catagnas is here tonight. He's sitting back there, he's back there.
Okay.
He and his team do a fantastic job.
Thank you for it. Thank you so much.
I always wonder how they stay so calm on those phone calls.
Somebody gotta stay calm.
Moving on, next.
Item N is for National County Government Month. As you know, April is typically recognized and recommended by the National Association of Counties that we recognize this month as National County Government Month. It's an opportunity for us to highlight the things that we do, the services that we provide. Also, take the opportunity to encourage those who are looking for a career in local government to consider working for Edgecombe County. I recommend that you approve the resolution as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions?
What are we doing, Edgecombe County, during this National County Government Month?
So what we'll do is, like what we've done in the past, we'll put out some information on social media. What we'll usually do, I'll get a chance to speak at a couple of engagements, certainly if you have some that you'd like me or staff to speak at, and just to drum up some interest or some awareness of what we do. But if you have other suggestions, we're happy to consider.
We have so many citizens who don't realize what the agencies do, that I would love to see an opportunity for them to actually visit, not only just this building, and go see where the tax office is, what they do down at the DMV. Especially our children, it would be a great partnership if we could do something like that with the school system. But I see it done in other counties, and it's like, Edgecombe County, we need to do something to let folks know. As you said, we're trying to recruit as well, so people learn more about what you actually do, they might become interested in being a part
Sure,
of it.
we can do that, absolutely.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Appointments next. Next, appointments.
I do want to point out, Mr. Chairman, the first for the Animal Welfare Advisory Council, and you have a memo there, I won't read
Right,
that.
I see it.
Whole memo. Ms. Kathy Williams, who serves as chairperson of our Animal Welfare Advisory Council, and Mr. Camillus Dancy, they both have served very well from when you first created this some years ago. They attend just about every meeting. They're instrumental to it. Based on the criteria that we set up for creating this advisory council, that we set that they are basically exceeding their term limits. My recommendation would be that you at least this time waive that term limit, allow them to be reappointed. I think, especially now, I think they've built some momentum. They're working on some things right now, but I think it would slow down the momentum some if they were not reappointed. This is an advisory council that you created, so I think you have the latitude, if you like, to waive that term limit.
The motion is to waive the term limit of these two members and reappoint. Who makes the motion?
I do.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, they are reappointed.
I got a question there. Do they have a maximum number that has already been appointed, or can others be appointed?
Let's see.
We've got positions on there, don't we?
Yes.
I saw it somewhere.
Prescribed positions, right now, the only vacancy is for someone that represents an animal rescue shelter. Now, they're open meetings, so anyone can come and
You got somebody that's interested? Well, then,
Well, I don't know if look, Miss Peggy Harrell has been very instrumental in all of that, and with all these adoptions and transportation, Miss Harrell is always,
look at Miss,
I just think she deserves to be asked if there's a slot.
Sure.
well,
Yes.
I think, I suggested you go ahead. We can always
Create something.
create
She do.
a new membership to that board. Ask that, Mr. Webb, if they're interested, see what we can do to make
You
that happen.
have currently 3 at-large seats, so you certainly could add another at-large seat.
If they're interested, you all get
I
together.
can come back, yeah, I'll ask her.
Something.
Okay, just let me know.
If they are interested, with
Already.
Mr. Peters and you decide how we need to make that
Sure,
happen.
yes, sir.
Put up.
Moving on to, community.
Edgecombe Library, you have a recommendation there for Miss June Cherry. Mr. Quandale Chanel, term is ended. He's not interested in being reappointed, and the recommendation is Miss June Cherry.
This recommendation, this is to the,
The Edgecombe Library.
She wants to
Okay.
bid. I make a motion that she bid.
Second.
questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved.
You also have a reappointment recommendation for the Edgecombe Community College Board of Trustees for Mr. Jerry Spruill to be reappointed.
Do we need to excuse Ms. Harris?
I think it would be good.
Motion to excuse Ms. Harris?
Motion excused.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
And then I make that motion to
No second.
put Spruce.
Questions? Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Poole is reappointed. We
But I
have-
do need to ask the question. I've been asked, are there term limits for that board?
I don't know, but I can find
They're
out.
4 year, you mean in terms of number of term limits?
Right.
No, we don't have any term limits.
For the community college?
No, we don't, no.
I'm not.
So far, it's been a lifetime appointment.
Well, that's why I've been asked.
No, it's not a term limit.
Okay.
And I don't suggest term limits, not for those that we appoint. They're changing how they're,
It's about
Check-
taking away
check
from you,
the-
not gonna get to a point.
I
Appointments are
I don't
all
think they're
process.
taking away county appointments.
No.
They're not taking away county commissioners. Check on it, or check on that
I
statute
think the
for
governor, what were governor's appointments have now been
the
taken
general,
over by
the General Assembly.
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether they're
Some
taking.
by the House and some
There were
by the
three,
Senate.
there were governors, there were, school board and county commission. We had 4 each.
By statute.
That's that, yeah, they are, and that's statute. I don't know if it has changed, but they're proposing to change it. You know, a lot of boards, I think, you know, just the experience of the people on the board is what's needed. To me, sometimes to just, you know, changing every 4 years, I don't think you get there. You get to be able to serve, because you don't know what you're doing, really. You're just seconding and making motions and, you know. And, Alpha List and
So,
Relations.
Mr. Chairman, you do have, if you don't mind adding, you have a copy of this email at your place. It's for an appointment, a reappointment and appointment for the Turning Point Workforce Development Board. There's a recommendation to reappoint Mr. Jerry Harper to serve on the Turning Point Board. And then Miss Elizabeth Newcomb, who was serving as a vocational rehabilitation appointee or representative. She's retired in that position, and so it's recommended that Christy Wright be appointed in her place. So recommendation for a reappointment of Mr. Jerry Harper and appointment of Christy Wright.
Motion,
So moved.
Second.
questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. Anything else that I missed?
No, sir.
Alpha List and Releases for review and approval. Anything to be brought to the board's attention?
No, sir. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. Contracts, Mr. Evans, anything to explain to the board?
You'll see that you have one contract and 2 change orders for your approval. There are three other contracts that are under the limit that I can approve, so presenting those for your information.
Motion? Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Questions?
Just
Oh,
thank
go-
you, I'm sorry, just thank you for getting that sheriff's training facility, that work done there. That's desperately needed. As we heard from the sheriff today, that facility is used daily, if not weekly, by agencies around the state
Sure.
and federal level.
We had some other projects that came under budget, and so we had some availability of funds to be able to do it this year.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. They are approved. Departments, you've got them in your report. Anything that we need to hear from you, Mr. Evans, as related?
Well, if you'd like to hear Ms. Barfield.
I heard her today. Is there anything else you got?
I had a
Did you
few-
tell us enough today? Oh, you got something? Huh?
That's your call, Mr. Williams.
Come on up, then. Come on up. Come on up.
So, I know that's my cue to keep it brief.
Huh?
And I certainly will. I'll just say in general, property taxes are coming along strong with over 91% collected. As I kind of alluded to earlier, sales tax represents about 6 months in. And while the numbers do fail a little bit in comparison to last year, if the trend continues, it does appear that we could still meet budget. Of course, we don't know what will happen over the next 6 months of sales tax collections, but at this point, it's still within the realm that we could meet budget since we budgeted conservatively. For expenditures, as I talked about this morning, public safety, human services, and education typically have the largest spending, although compared to their overall budgets, the utilization is normal for what we would look at for this time of year. Not a lot to say about water and sewer, except that I will mention that they're experiencing high water pressure, high water purchase costs, which represents about 82% of the budget. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on to see what we need to get us through the end of the year. And then in solid waste, as we hit on a little bit today, revenues are lagging a little bit behind the expenditures. And while temp and fees represent about 31% of the budget, we've already utilized about 70%. Unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Any questions?
Tyler.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I do want to point out, you'll see a report here that you don't see often, but there is a report for FY '22 for 2022 and 2023 for the Child Fatality Prevention Team. There's reports. This is a team that is comprised of both staff from Health Department, Social Services, and some other partnering agencies. They review cases of child fatality that occur in the county and determine were there any contributing factors, any system changes or what have you that they would recommend to be changed. And so just wanted you to be aware and take note that that is in your packet. Also, planning board minutes from their March 17th meeting. But happy to answer any questions about any of the department reports.
Any questions about any of the reports from the board? If not, moving on to your report.
So you see I have under manager's report my major events and updates for the month, workforce development indicators, the monthly Tourism Development Authority financial report. I do want to pause for a moment and talk about this funding opportunity through the Golden Leaf Foundation. Some years ago, Golden Leaf created this program called the Community-Based Grants Initiative, or CBGI. And what they do is they rotate among the prosperity zones across the state. And when they come to a prosperity zone, we're in the North Central Prosperity Zone, they make available funds that have to be basically directed through the county manager's office of each of those counties. And what they do is they allow us to choose the process, but we, in whatever way we choose, will vet projects and invite them to submit an application to the Golden Leaf Foundation. It still has to be in keeping with their priorities, which is economic development, job creation, agriculture, but it just targets those funds to that particular to those particular counties. So it has come back around to us. I think there's a total of $11 million that's available to the entire region. They will award up to $1.5 million in funds in each county. It's not automatic that each county will get a total of $1.5 million.
But we can get a project funded.
Yes, sir. A project or projects. Yes, sir. And we did this back in 2017, I believe.
I recall.
The last time it came around. And what I would suggest is we follow a similar process. And what we will do is we will put out a request for proposals from my office, inviting nonprofits, entities, units of government in the county to submit proposals that are, that meet the requirements of Golden Leaf Foundation. We assembled a review team here.
And getting off the list.
Yes, sir, prior to getting off the list, yes, sir. And we create a review team, we review those proposals and then bring them to you. And then if you approve the ones we recommend, then they have to apply to Golden Leaf Foundation. We can apply as well. We can submit an application or applications from the county. But if it's an entity outside of the county, it's still the ultimate decision of the Golden Leaf Foundation's board. And if they're awarded, it's awarded directly either to us if we're the applicant or directly to the nonprofit or agency.
But we have to approve of what goes to the Golden Leaf.
That's correct. That's correct. So that will be the process that I.
And it has to be within our county, something that benefits our
Something
county.
within our county, yes, sir. Yes, sir, absolutely. So we're grateful for the opportunity. Golden Leaf has been good partners for Edgecombe County for a number of years, and we're grateful. And so unless there's, any recommendation for it to handle it a different way.
Any comments to the objection to following through with the suggested manner in doing it? If not, proceed.
Okay, will do. Also, as you see, we have on the agenda the impact of federal cuts on county programs and services overview. First of all, it's still, for the most part, unknown. One thing we do know for sure, and you have a copy in your agenda packet, a letter that came out to all, that went out to all health directors a week or so ago. And these are two programs you'll see. They call it the AA 716. That's CDC COVID-19 vaccination program funds, and the AA 720 seasonal flu vaccine for farm workers. We did not receive any of the second pot of funding, but we did still have some funding for the COVID-19 vaccination program. We received a total of 85,000, I think it was, and we still had around 63,000 remaining. All of that is being pulled back. So that was, paying for some staff time. I think Linda mentioned in retreat earlier that those staff that some
To
of.
be vaccinated, for the vaccination?
That's correct. So that.
Do we still have the COVID, the vaccination?
We still have some vaccines, yes, sir.
Or we have the vaccine that
Yes,
can
sir.
be administered by us, or we
That's
will
correct.
still administer that?
That's correct, yes, as we would with any of our other vaccinations. We just won't be able to charge any staff time to it. I think it was also used to do some public awareness and campaigns, so all of that, this is the
But
first.
they can bill you insurance for that, can't they?
Yes, sir. Yes, if insurance covers it, they'll bill insurance. So that's one of the first ways we've seen a direct hit. But there will likely be other things to come. I will say we did know, Ms. Battle shared with me some information she got recently that at the state DHHS level, all of the staff in the low-income energy program, light we call it, on the federal level, all of them were sent home. So likely any funding processing that comes from the feds to the state or from the feds down to the counties will be slowed down.
So if we had shared funding of positions, that would be cut? The federal.
Not yet, but like, let's say, for example, if whatever the funding allocation we expect to get next year, we might not get that notice at the time that we normally get it, because now there are no staff there that typically process that, or it will be slower than usual coming out. But these are the preliminary things now. We will monitor this as much as we can. You probably remember that we do have federal employees that work here in this building in Farm Service Administration. So that's, they're watching that as closely as we are as well. So I know we've heard in some other places that lease agreements have been terminated. We have a lease agreement for them to be housed in this building. We've got no word that that lease will be canceled. So it's still largely unknown how this will ultimately impact, or if and how this will ultimately impact either us or the services that we provide. Information is coming out almost daily. I'm starting to sort of track this so I can keep you all updated as best as we can, but just wanted to let you know at least that one very direct way, or two very direct ways that we've been affected by that. Unless any questions about that.
Right.
You have in your agenda packet the annual inspection report for our volunteer fire departments for your review. Also, you'll see the recommended dates for our budget process. We in-house officially kicked off our budget season this morning. We're meeting with all of our department heads this week for them to present their budgets to us. You'll see there are dates recommended for our annual joint meeting with Edgecombe School System. At least 2 budget committee meetings we have mapped out, and this is about the same time we had those meetings last year. Recommending that our budget work session be on May 21st at 10 a.m., which is about the same time last year that we had it. And having our budget public hearing at our first meeting in June, and then approving the budget at a second meeting on June 23rd. So I would just ask if you all look at those dates, and if you see any problems with those, let us know as soon as you can. Otherwise, we'll start planning those meetings on those dates. One other thing, you have a copy at your place, just want to remind you, I know you've heard of this from Mr. Jim Wren, who's announced this here before, but the Citizens for Responsible Zoning will be having, unveiling their historical marker on this Saturday, April 12th at 11 a.m. They'll be meeting first there at the Ag Center at Kingsborough, and following some comments and showing of a video, we'll be going just diagonally across the corner of the street there where the marker will be placed to unveil that. So I encourage you to attend if you're interested. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Evans? Hearing none, Commissioners report. Anything from Commissioners?
Ms. Harris, the treatment center's on Zebulon Road. Just so you know.
Right there off Sunset.
And this has nothing to do with the
That's in
county,
Nash County.
but I thought maybe Mr. Evans may have gotten some feedback from it. What in the world is going on with the license plate, license?
I know.
Driver's license or license?
Driver's license.
Driver's license.
People are waiting 4 and 5 hours. I didn't know if you gotten a ton of blowback from it, thinking it was our fault.
I think part of it is because of that May 7th deadline where you're supposed to get that
Real ID.
that change your license with that special sticker in the side, in the top. That's the majority of what I'm hearing. Those people are trying to get in and haven't gotten it.
I saw an article where they opened them up an hour earlier to get some more appointments. The young man that works with me
Yeah.
stayed 5 hours and 14 minutes the other day.
I stayed
Yes,
long, still haven't got in.
Every
Yeah.
office.
What you said, every office? Well, that's not been normal. This has been the best.
That's what I'm saying, it's happening
Not
all
for
of a sudden.
Tarboro.
Right.
And
going on?
evidently,
A real ID.
it sounds like he didn't hear
I
nothing
think
about
they're
it.
short staffed.
Oh, man,
Yeah, I
you've
didn't
been
like
bombarded thinking we were
You know,
messed
But
up
if you
something.
would investigate, but that's what I'm hearing, because people are trying to get
That
that real
sounds-
ID now that they,
it sounds like,
is being, the date has been put out there and that it's coming very soon.
if he says all over, he's, it's
And then they're short staffed. I stayed 3 hours the other day and only had one person in there. That didn't help.
Try and get your driver's license.
And got right to me and closed the door.
At lunchtime.
I still don't have it.
You need one of us to take
I'm
you
just
home?
not the luckiest person.
Have you done them online before?
Yeah, but I can't, you can't, you
Can't do it
got,
twice.
yeah,
Okay.
not
Well-
my time.
normally this has been the best place to,
It is.
I mean, they've had very, so it has to be, you know,
I had one person in there, so.
I'm not gonna credit as much as staff, it's got other issues, but you know, I can come to Tarboro, I've always come to Tarboro quicker than I can.
Not now, you can't.
Well, it's that will, that too will come, that will, whatever it is, it will resolve itself. Oh,
That's why I got my real ID when it first
it will
came out.
resolve itself. You know, anytime you wait till the last minute to do something, it's your problem. So, always them last days if you wait, you still got to wait.
That's a long time to wait.
Yeah, but we need them, they don't. Anything else?
One other thing, real quick, I forgot to mention. So, we got folks from the Charters of Freedom reached out, and they're ready for us to plan the event to unveil that. It's pretty much done. I think they've got a little bit more brickwork to do, and then the next step will be just to put in the display. So I have some dates. I thought I had them with me, but What I like to do is, you'll remember, we assembled a committee, and we'll pull that committee back together. They've given us a draft agenda for it, and so I'd like to pull that committee back together. But I'll send those dates out. There are a few dates in May and June that I'll send out to everyone if you want to look at your calendars and see where it works best so that we can get back with them and schedule that. I'll send it out to you tomorrow.
If you could coordinate that with, what month you saying, or what month?
There are some dates in May and June.
If that can be coordinated with, when you've already got a meeting scheduled for the board,
Okay.
like, it can be coordinated around a time frame. Like if it's a budget review date, we can do that later or earlier, and
Okay.
which the board has already set a time to be here.
Sure.
If it can be, or if there's no conflict, you know,
Okay.
might not can do it for satisfy everybody.
I'll look at that. Yes, sir.
Anything else from the board? Hearing none, Mr. Peters?
Yes, sir.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're scheduled to go in closed session to discuss an economic development matter. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be going into closed session. I had something to do.
Made you work tonight, Michael.
Everybody in place? We ready?
We good?
Are we good? Huh?
Cut juice off.
He's gonna check.
Okay, we're gonna sit down in a minute.
One of those Milky Ways, they put cheap candy down here.
I think she put it down there.
I think she did.
I think she stole it. What you doing?
He looking at us funny.
I still need something to slide proof in this chair, cause it's really,
Slide proof.
I mean, it's wearing my back out, 'cause I got to keep pushing myself back, trying to stay in the
We're gonna put
chair.
you some Velcro in
And
it.
I'm about to slide all under the desk.
I'm about to get ADHD, so I can't sit still. Public doesn't even know how long we've been meeting today. This is before I be brochure.
We ready? Having nothing to come in open session, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. And also.
Questions? All in favor, let me know by vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We now stand adjourned. Thank you so much. Long day.